So let's take a look about 12 to 14 years ago. Okay, let's take a look at the Boston sports world. The Patriots were pretty bad. The Red Sox had not won a World Series in 86 years. The Celtics haven't won a championship since the mid 80s. And the Bruins were also pretty terrible as well. It was a bad time for Boston sports. And then all of a sudden, within 5 years, from '04, the Patriots in the early 2000s, all the way to the present day, Boston sports has developed into a competitor in the region every year in the entire country. If you look at the Boston society, the sports society, before all of these championships, you might be able to go to a Sox game and half the stadium would be empty. Or you could go to a Patriots game and the same thing. Um, and then all of a sudden, once we start winning some playoffs and we start making a run for some championships, it's hard to find a seat. I mean, it's hard to even buy a ticket, or all the T-shirts are sold out before they even hit the shelves. So what is this? Why is everybody all of a sudden jumping on this bandwagon? Well, the bandwagon effect is a phenomenon where the rate of uptake of beliefs, ideas, fads tends to increase when they are adopted by others. So many people think that bandwagon effect only really happens in sports teams. That all of a sudden the team's doing well and now you jump on the bandwagon and you want to root for that team and you want to be a part of it in the society and in the culture of that team. Well, it's not necessarily just limited to sports teams. We got to look at the presidential race going on currently in our country. We have the front runners of Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. Well, if you told me 5 months ago that Donald Trump was going to be the Republican candidate, I would probably tell you you're crazy. But I mean, we got to stop and think and actually look at this. That it's a bandwagon effect. People have just bought in. So many people have bought into what he's saying very quickly, and it didn't really happen at the beginning of the race. If you look at his numbers from the beginning, it was actually very tight for the top 3 or 4 candidates, and then over, I would say, a month or two, it completely flipped, and Donald gained a ton of support, and all of a sudden, it just kind of spiraled out of control, and now he is the candidate for the Republican Party. The bandwagon effect really can happen anywhere. Okay, here's just a little side story of this whole thing. So in college, my roommates loved to read Barstool, and they thought all the stories on there were hilarious and very comical, funny, and they always would talk about it, and I never did, and I always kind of felt left out, and I wanted to fit into my friends group, and so every morning I would get up, and when I would have my coffee before class, I would read Barstool, and I became as they started talking about Barstool more, and I started telling the story. Oh yeah, I saw that too, and then I kind of I felt like I had a little bit of presence in the discussion, and it's funny how the bandwagon effect, people just want to fit in. So it's kind of the same thing with the Red Sox winning the World Series and everybody jumping on that bandwagon. People want to be a part of it, and they want to be a part of that that culture. And it's just a little story, a background story of how it might be minuscule, but I jumped on the Barstool bandwagon per se. So a great example of the bandwagon effect is a psychology study that was done in 1951 by Solomon Asch. Okay? And now he did a very simple experiment where he would bring a group in, and they would sit at a table, and there would be a card on the left and a card on the right, and you had to dictate or differentiate which line was longer. And they would start at the left side of the room, and they would continue all the way to the right side. And by the end of it, people would kind of just, instead of going with their gut, they would go with what the group would think. So it would be, a person on the left would say, number one, the one on the left, one on the left, one on the left. Well, maybe I like the one on the right, but I'm going to go with the one on the left. And he showed that people in groups will just conform to ideas instead of really slowing down the thought process and saying, no, that line is longer than this line. But instead, our brain gets, it almost just reverts to, well, they think that's right. I'm going to go with that because that must seem like the right answer. It has to be. So the results of this study are they're very, very cool. On average, 1/3 of the participants were placed in a situation where they were kind of forced to conform, or they were put in a situation to conform, and they did. And it usually meant that they answered incorrectly. Over the 12 critical trials, 75% of the participants conformed at least once. 25% never conformed, and I mean, that can show you that it's more prevalent in society than you think. Just take a look at your day-to-day life, even in meetings or discussions when you're at work. You might just say, "Yeah, I agree with you," and even though in the back of your head you might not actually have that same opinion. So what's really happening is you're ignoring your reality, you're ignoring your intuition, and giving a false response because you want to fit in with either your coworkers or your teammates, or society in general. So let's get back to politics now. I think that the bandwagon effect is perfect for politics. And you can see that opinions are swayed by the masses. So let's take a look at Bernie Sanders, Hillary Clinton, and Donald Trump and all their slogans along with their negative perceptions to society. Okay, so Donald Trump, for example, his big slogan, let's say, "I want to make America great again," and that is catching fire with so many people because a lot of people do have that perception that America is broken and that it's a pushover country now, and we need someone that's strong and firm and is going to, in fact, make our country great again. You can look at the negative press that's coming for both Hillary and Donald within the past year, even heating up more in the past couple of months. For Donald, he's saying that he's sexist, he's violent, he's incompetent to be a leader of the United States of America. And then you have on the other side Hillary. She's a liar, power hungry, and some say a snake. So it's again, opinions are swayed by the masses, and people are going to jump on certain bandwagons that fit the beliefs of their immediate friends, their families, society. They want to be a part of that. They want to fit into that culture. So looking at all of this now and understanding what the bandwagon effect can do to us and our actual decision-making process, the reason for this video is I want everybody to be able to take a step back and not necessarily conform to society. Okay, when things are different and people have all the same opinion, maybe it's right for you to take a step back and actually stop, think of what the situation is, think of the scenario, and make your own separate decision than the people of the masses. And if you do that process and you take a step back and you realize, that is the right decision, then at least you took that split second instead of acting impulsively like I think a lot of people in our country are today. All right, well, I hope you guys enjoyed the TED Talk today. If you have any questions or concerns or anything of the matter, leave it in the comment section, and I'll be sure to get back to those as soon as I can. All right, thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.